Okay, the next section that's always on the exam again is liquidity. And basically liquidity is the ability of the company to pay its short-term debts. Now, if you think of things, your balance sheet is where you put things that you own and you put things that you owe. So in the balance sheet, we look at things that we own. Sorry, my writing there. We look at things that we own and we look at things that we owe. Now we want to look at the short term. So we know things that we own in the short term are current assets, and things that we owe in the short term are creditors less 1 year. So what they're asking is, can you look at the ratio between these two things? Now there's two formulas you're going to have to do. One is called the current ratio, and that basically is just looking at these. Okay, it's your current assets to your creditors less 1 year. Then you have the stricter ratio, and the stricter ratio is the one we're going to use, and it's called the asset test ratio, and we call it ATR for shorthand. And in this ratio, we are going to look at the two of these, but we're not allowed to include closing stock in our assets as things that we own, because we're looking at things that we own that we can turn into cash quickly, that we could pay our debts with. But sometimes if you have stock, especially stock that might be seasonal, it might be very hard to get rid of it, or it might be stock that's gone out of date, or stock that's no longer fashionable. So the current ratio, you will only use this figure if they specifically ask for it. Now write this in, if they specifically ask for it, or they have given you last year's figure. Okay, so this is only used if they've given you last year's figure for it, or they specifically asked for it. So if we look at this question, our current assets are 150 and our creditors are 84. Now the next thing that I want you to be careful of here, you always get 1 on this side, on the right hand side. So if I want 1 there, I'm going to divide both sides by 84, and I get 1.79 is to 1. Okay, now I'm going to concentrate on this ratio because this is the one you're actually going to do in the exam. So remember, you'll only do this one if they specifically ask for it, or they've given you the result from last year. So our current assets, 150,000, and our closing stock is 60. Now some people might say, well, where did I get the closing stock from? They didn't give it to you there in the balance sheet. I got that from the trading profit and loss account up above it. Okay, that's where you'll find your closing stock. Okay, so 150 minus 60, that's 90,000 is to 84. Again, I need 1 on this side, so I'm going to divide both sides by 84, and I get 1.07 is to 1. Now we need to comment. So again, I'm going to keep them all the very same. So we're going to say in 2017, asset test ratio was, and we look at our table that they gave us, 0.86 is to 1. Then number 2, in 2018, the asset test ratio is 1.07 is to 1. Okay, this year, this is what I owe, and this is the money that I have to pay it, so I have enough to pay it. Last year, this is what I owed, €1, and I needed 6 cents to pay it. So there's definitely an improvement. So the trend is good. There's an improvement of 0.21 is to 1. Now again, from these steps downwards, they don't have to be in order. You can write them whichever way you want. It's above the ideal ratio. We say the answer that you want to get is 1 to 1. But if it's above that, that's good. No, right, that's good. Number 5, we're going to say what exactly that ratio means. So you're going to say for every €1 owed when in the short term, not €1, for every, €1 owed in the short term, you have liquid assets, and you have to say liquid assets of €1.07 to pay it. Okay, so for every €1 in the short term, you have liquid assets of €1.07 to pay it, and that has to be written down. Okay, now the other thing that you need to talk about with your liquidity, you need to say, if it's from a shareholder's point of view, they're interested in liquidity because they're interested in their ability to pay dividends. If it's from a debentures holder's point of view, they're interested in your ability to pay the interest. So I'm going to actually put both of them down here. This company will not have problems paying dividends and interest. So that just covers you in case it's from the debenture holder's point of view or the shareholders. And number 7, it does not have a liquidity problem. And you have to have all of them to get your marks. And again, it's about 7% for everything that's there, and it actually doesn't change. Now, if they were asking from this from a debenture holder's point of view, this is all good. But then if you were doing a question and it was all kind of being negative and it was bad and they didn't have enough money, you would say they would have a problem paying interest payments, and you'd actually just put in an extra point here. Number 8, may have difficulties paying back the loan. Okay. And that's just if it was from a debenture holder's point of view. I've given you 8. It should be sufficient to make sure that you get your maximum marks in the exam for that.